Hello and welcome to my walkthrough of this 2019 AP Chemistry exam. And so this should probably, if you haven't already on your own or gone on College Board AP Classroom and looked at an AP exam, this will probably be your first time looking at an AP exam in the format here. So let's look at the first couple of pages. Okay, so on the very first page, we will see the periodic table of elements. And I know it's sideways right now, but I mean, it's the periodic table of elements. And what should stick out to you is that they do not give you the name of any of the elements on the periodic table here. They only give you the symbol. So for hydrogen, they gave you H. And then they give you a number down here and a number up here. It's your job to remember again that this is the atomic number and this is the average atomic mass there. And so make sure you're reviewing things we've previously covered. Right? And as I go through this, I'll try to be comprehensive. So the next page here is the formula sheet. And what we notice when we see the formula sheet here is they give us a few things. It says throughout the exam, the following symbols have the definition specified unless otherwise noted. So they tell you what these symbols are going to mean throughout the exam. You know, that L and ML are going to be liters and milliliters. And pay attention to the capitalization of things, the capitalization of units. But they give you that information. And then what they've gone ahead and done is broken down the formulas you need for each concept. So the concept of atomic structure, you know, the structure of the atom, you have the proton, neutron, electrons, and then the energy that's emitted whenever an electron jumps from one energy state to another. We have these different formulas here, and they tell us on this side what those variables mean. So here E is energy, and then you've got these different symbols here for frequency, nu, wavelength, lambda, and whatnot. They give you the constants that you'll need for specific equations depending on what they give you on the exam. And we're going to talk about the structure of the exam for this year as well. Next, we have equilibrium. Now, equilibrium is something we have not covered yet. It is a unit we haven't covered yet, but we will be covering it. I will be posting a module for equilibrium. The good news is it's a majority of it is just concept based. And the pH problems, I mean, that unit is not in the AP exam this year, so we don't even have to worry about that. Really, we're going to have to worry about equilibrium and dissociation most likely when it comes to compounds, not specific to acids and bases. And then they tell you what those symbols mean here on this side as well. So they've got the equations on this side, they've got what the symbols mean on this end here, is how it's structured. And then the kinetics. Now, this is the unit we left off on, Unit 5. So I do need you to still go through that module if you have not. Work through the problems. Ask me any questions that you have. And again, they tell you what those constants mean there. So let's look at the next page. And the next page is the other part of the formula sheet. And so here, gas laws, things we've discussed in depth, both in pre-AP chemistry and AP chemistry. We have the ideal gas law equation, PV equals nRT, the partial pressure equation there, molar mass, the conversion for Celsius to Kelvin, densities equation, kinetic energies equation here, Beer's law, molarity, what it means, moles divided by liters, moles per liter there. And then they give you what all those symbols mean here, as well as the constants that you'll need for the equations. Okay, the last part of this, thermodynamics and electrochemistry. Now, thermo is more so just a concept. These equations here are conceptual. This one's pretty straightforward here, but majority of these are conceptuals that you'll have to understand the direction. Is energy being released out of a chemical reaction? Is energy being absorbed? What's happening to the temperature? That's basically what this is going to be, and so this is the other unit there that we have to get through. The good news is, again, these are what the constants mean on this side, and I'll talk about it on this page here. So this is the first page of the exam. Now, when we look at this, this is only the free response portion. Now, again, the exam this year will only be free response. And instead of an hour and 45 minutes for the free response section, you will only have 45 minutes for your exam. Now, when I was going through this and reading, it says there's 7 questions for an hour and 45 minutes. It's basically what they're saying there. Questions 1 through 3 are long free response questions that require about 23 minutes each to answer. All right. And so if you do the math there, all 3 questions would be well over the 45 minutes that are going to be allocated for you. Then they go on to say questions 4 through 7 are short free response questions that require about 9 minutes each to answer. So my bet is in order for them to be fair that we've covered so much material throughout the year, they'll probably lean more towards the short free response style of questions to cover more content versus a long free response that would limit the amount of content they can ask on this 45-minute exam. So it'll be interesting to see how they do that. I'll work as many problems as I can and continue to post them and be specific to what kind of concepts you should be reviewing for each problem, what prior knowledge I'm coming in with to the problems. And so hopefully you can go through and solidify that on your end. Okay. So let's see. What do they say here? They say, write your response in the space provided following each question. Examples and equations may be included in your responses where appropriate. For calculations, clearly show the method used and the steps involved in arriving at your answer. So they do want to, see your work. They need to see your work in order to give you full credit for your answer. The more information you can give them, the better. But at the same time, you want to be concise. You don't want to just give them everything. You just want to be as short, concise as possible, while at the same time showing them that you understand what the problem was asking, basically. If you are doing calculations, pay attention to significant figures. So remember to review significant figures, the rules for multiplying and dividing significant figures, and how to count the number of significant figures is something that's very important. And there's tons of videos online. It's just rules that you have to know, and I'll go through and I'll apply them as well. Well, I hope that was helpful. That was the first portion of the exam, the non-question portion.